Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. If you are joining us for the first time, we appreciate your time as always. Here we talk geopolitical conversation on how Africa navigate this complex partnership globally. It is important for us to understand that the geopolitical environment has changed in North America, and Africa must pay attention very closely, irrespective of the challenges that we've seen across the region in Central Africa, and more importantly, the embarrassing and shameful situation in the country of Tanzania at the moment. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the United States of America has put Nigeria on the spotlight. Nigeria, the so-called, in quote, the giant of Africa, has failed over the years to step up to its responsibility and demonstrate leadership in a whole lot of areas. This is important because the country of Nigeria, once the darling of the United States of America, from the geostrategic relationship in terms of collaboration, partnership, business in a whole lot of areas, has come under scrutiny regards to the relationship in terms of what's happening in the country of Nigeria. The Nigerian official, like I've said in my previous episode, to come out clear and stick their position regards to the accusation coming out from the United States of America. Make no mistake, the United States of American leadership at the moment, under Mr. Donald Trump, is transactional to an extent. Again, they do have some very important position that they will put on. Again, Nigeria must take responsibility in a whole lot of areas, but more importantly, step up to the plate and say where it stands.
Nigerians of many faiths are pushing back against Donald Trump's claims that Christians are being persecuted. The U.S. president has threatened to take military action in Nigeria over what he says is the killing of Christians there and the failure of the state to protect them. The Nigerian government has rejected the U.S. president's claims and says jihadist violence affects many people regardless of their belief.
It's not only Christians that they are killing. They are killing Muslims also. Well, their ambition is good. That make them come and to help us for this terrorists.
They're killing Christians in America. They're killing Christians in Kuwait. They're killing Christians in Afghanistan. Why Nigeria? I mean, I'm not going to frown upon a good act, but then I'm not going to jump on it as well just because it sounds like, sugar.
In a recent meeting, like I've said, in the country of Germany, the foreign minister of Nigeria again once more failed to grab the opportunity and step up to the plate and defend Nigeria's own position regards to this complex issue. No one should fool you. The situation between the Christian and Muslims in the country of Nigeria is so extremely complex that even some Nigerian officials themselves fail to understand the complexity itself. But for the United States of America's leader, Mr. Donald Trump, to come out clear and call Nigeria openly and globally, the Nigerian officials must pay attention. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the country of South Africa, a couple of months ago, was called out by the United States of America. Mr. Donald Trump once said South Africa is doing some bad things, that there was genocide going on in the country of South Africa at the time, and more importantly, despite being debunked by some global media. Again, South Africa being embarrassed at the White House. It's important to note that Mr. Trump at the moment could pull strings regards to Nigerians' own position, and more importantly, we have seen how the country of South Africa have been placed under a tight box regards to geostrategic partnership, looking at the United States lambasting tariffs with the country of South Africa, and more importantly, looking at the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which at the moment has ended. The country of Nigeria should play into this playbook and take this accusation from the United States of America seriously. Why is this relevant? It is relevant because Nigerians should not apply emotion regards to a response to the United States of America. In a recent visit to the country of Germany, in the 60th anniversary between the relationship between the country of Germany and that of Nigeria, the foreign minister had another opportunity to lay out where Nigerians stand on this very complex issue. He went ahead to talk on a variety of issues, but failed, in my own perspective, as we're going to be listening in a moment, to clearly state Nigeria's own stand, to let the United States of America know that this issue is much complex than it is. Let's roll this clip.
Still, the US has always been a strong partner too for you. In recent time, the US president has been criticizing Nigeria. How seriously do you counter the allegation by Donald Trump that your government is not doing enough against radical Islamists killing Christians in Nigeria?
I think we've explained ourselves, and my president put out a statement that explained everything. It speaks for itself. Nigeria's orientation itself is suited and is favorable to the United States of America. People like me, forget the fact that I even went to school in America. I actually grew up, the era during which I grew up, it was American music, it was American mode of dressing. So we are favorably disposed to the United States of America. But we also understand the workings of US domestic politics. The whole thing about Nigeria being listed on the countries of particular concern emanated from the legislative arm of the US government, and we were in touch with the executive arm, and they did not appear to be disposed to supporting that, but something may have changed. Maybe it's not having enough information, maybe it's not understanding how much the government was doing to fight terrorism in Nigeria, and you can see that the terrorists and the area that they operate in is the northeast of Nigeria, and it's a complex cross-border area. So they go back and forth. They run into Niger or into Chad or into Cameroon, and then sometimes they run back into Nigeria. And you know, you've got the Lake Chad there with hundreds of islands. So it's a very complex terrain. This is where Boko Haram operates. And that area is heavily populated by Muslims, because all the other countries also have a lot of Muslims there. But
despite his detailed explanation, trying to put the pieces together in talking about where Nigeria stands in terms of its relationship with Germany and other countries globally, I still feel that Nigeria is not able to come out very clear, to make it openly and clearly indicate where what Nigeria has done so far, and more importantly, to explain in a manner that it is clear, because South Africa never got this particular signal, because at the moment we are talking about how the United States of America could again pull Nigeria's own string. We saw what happened. Nigeria refused first of all to take deportees from the United States of America. That's the story for another day. The United States of America has put pressure on a number of countries in the continent of Africa who are going to apply or who are members of the BRICS trade bloc, and South Africa is one. Nigeria, one of the largest economy in the continent of Africa at the moment, should start diversifying its partnership and pay closer attention on where this strategic accusation is going to, because if Nigeria does not focus more clearly and stick its position out there, there might be some consequences in the future. Let's roll this clip.
Again, when you talk about herders and farmers, this is not some biblical conflict. It's not Cain and Abel. It's not that all the farmers are one religion and all the herders are the other. Nigeria is much, much more complex than that. You know, it's a mixture, and a lot of these herders are pagan. They don't even have any religion. They don't subscribe to any religion. So. And the same thing with farmers. You have a lot of farmers that are not religious. So, you know, but it requires a lot of understanding, and maybe this would present an opportunity for the world to look more at what is going on and have a better understanding, and that way it turns out to be a positive thing for Nigeria.
Yeah, I've been talking with the German government also about security cooperation. How far did you go How can Germany help you with fighting terror? Is that still on the table?
Well, you heard what Minister Johann Weidepol said in his statement in German. He commended Nigeria for what it was doing in the fight against terrorism, and Germany has always been supportive of that and has made it clear that it will continue to support our efforts in fighting terrorism, in fighting banditry, and supporting us to tackle some of these security challenges. And a lot of these security challenges are actually brought about by exogenous factors, outside factors. It's not something that we have necessarily done wrong in Nigeria that has brought them about, but we're in the neighborhood, we're right next to the Sahel, so we have to contend with these issues.
What the foreign minister talked about the complexity, it is clear this issue is so complex in the country of Nigeria, even some global experts fail to recognize this. But again, Nigeria has made it clear that the issue with regards to the accusation from the United States of America, talking about the current issues between the Muslims and Christians, it is more deeper, because it is clear that the data doesn't reflect that this particular accusation from the United States of America, it's what it is. But more importantly, from the strategic point of view, like I've said, Nigeria should diversify and build a firewall, because the United States is not backing down anytime soon. Let's play this clip.
Nigeria is in the eye of the storm, as US President Donald Trump has said he was considering a range of military options in the country. This follows his threat on Saturday to intervene over the alleged killing of Christians in the West African nation.
They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
His claim followed Republican Senator Ted Cruz's post that the Nigerian government was enabling a massacre against Christians. This was promoted by some popular figures like US comedian and TV show host Bill Maher, who said 100,000 Christians have been killed since 2009. But Lad Sawert, a senior Africa analyst with armed conflict location and event data ACLED, has told DW News that the number is inaccurate and violent events in the country affect communities of all faith backgrounds.
Since the start of the Islamist insurgency in Nigeria's northeast region, and that began escalating over 16 years ago now, there's been about 52,000 civilian deaths in total across all of Nigeria. And this includes people from all faiths and for all sorts of reasons. So the claim of 100,000 Christian fatalities just doesn't fit the evidence that we have.
Nigeria's fact-checking platform Dubawa also told DW News that the claim of a Christian genocide in the country is misleading.
The Christians in the northern parts that are affected by these insurgencies are minorities. Data is saying that there are 9 Muslims to 1 Christian who are affected by this insurgency.
When you come to our channel, we'll encourage you to smash the like button and share the video so we continue to talk on Africa's geopolitical engagement with this complex partnership. If I should term Nigeria's foreign policy based on my understanding, observing the Nigerian administration regards to their global perspective, it's like Nigeria wants to be a friend to all, an enemy to none. This is not going to work. In this 21st century, you have to ruffle some feathers to stick your position. We're the most populated country in the continent of Africa, and one of the countries that will become, I think, third in terms of population globally based on projection. Nigeria should be able to ruffle feathers, irrespective of what it takes for it to identify itself in regards to global perspective and Nigerian voice being put out there. The notion that you're going to be friends with everyone and then do not alienate any other person, that's never going to work in today's own particular situation. For a nation in the continent of Africa that most African nations are looking up to, like Malawi or small nations in the region, do not take positions that you don't ruffle feathers. Let me know in the comment section what you think regards to how the minister at the moment move forward to respond to the United States of America accusation. If you think Mr. Tuga is making a huge progress in regards to where Nigerians stand on this issue, and more importantly, why do you think the United States of America has singled out the country Nigeria with regards to what's going on in the country of Nigeria? For now, I will be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Smash the like button and have a good day. Bye-bye.